Well, g'day everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today I have the Shed Wars Captain's Cook-Off. Now, those who've been to the channel before know my garden. If you haven't, I'm going to give you a quick look at the garden now and you can see what I'm working with today. I do not have a farm. I do not have loads of produce. I don't have a massive garden. I got a tiny little space, so I'm growing what I can. And in that spirit, I'm going to cook what I've got in the garden. At the moment it's still early in the season for me, so there's not a lot out here. We'll just work with what we got. You know, you're not going to get a big brash production with lots of loud rock music and a big fire or anything like that. You're just going to get me cooking simple stuff in simple ways. You know, it's what I do. So away we go. Let's have a look. Right. You can see I got a couple little raised planters here. I had some spinach in one, got some sunflowers, got some capsicum coming up, some Cherokee wax beans that are dying, a bunch of potatoes that are sitting in buckets. Now I can't nick some young potatoes out from underneath there without killing them, and I'm not going to do it. Alright, here we have what we're actually going to end up using today. We have our violet queen beans and also our lazy housewife beans. Now I had to take some off because they were getting a bit mature, and then I had the young lass, my granddaughter, across the other day, and she was chewing on the beans. You know, at the end of the day, her enjoying produce out of the garden is much more important than extra pounds. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. Teaching the young lass is very important to me. Alright, so we'll go through, we'll pick up what beans we got, and I will make up a dish out of that. Alright, rest of the garden tour. We have a central bed, we have some pimply squash here, we have some tomatoes, and we have some baby blue pumpkins. Obviously, we've got pumpkins growing, but we're not ready yet. We have a kale bed, but I've done my great kale recipe. Robert, your timing really sucked on this one, mate. You're making it hard. Alright, and then we have my little side bed, which is full of various little things. We've got pumpkins, we've got tomatoes, we've got some eggplant, we've got some herbs in there now. Threw some garlic in there, zucchinis, birds keep getting me. And lastly, my other little raised planter, which has got some young pumpkins growing, but they're not ready for harvest yet. We've also got some more tomatoes in there and some sunflowers. So that's the garden. Well, I'm going to go pick some beans, and you know, we'll head inside and do a quick cook up of a meal. As I said, it's going to be something simple, going to be something easy. It's going to be something that I cook regularly as a meal. You know, it's just me and who I am. Alright, see you inside. Okay, we're going to start with smoking hot wok, and we're going to add a couple tablespoons of peanut oil into that. Peanut oil is a good high temperature sort of oil, and I'm just going to let that come up to heat. Just give it a quick swish around. Okay, once we're up to heat, we're going to go in with the meat. Now I've got a piece of pork loin. I've just given it salt and pepper and a little bit of Chinese white spice on every side. Just going to give it a bit of a cook on each side. I just want to brown it up, caramelise the sugars that's in the meat. Okay, first side's getting done. Just toss it over so we can brown up that other side. Get a bit of a swish around just so it's not sticking to the bottom. Okay, once it's brown, just going to put it into a pan and put it into a moderate oven. Don't want something searing hot. I just want a sort of slow temperature on it, just to slowly bring that meat up to cook. Okay, while the meat's cooking, just putting some warm water with some salt on it and just bringing that up to a rapid boil. Okay, there's our water up to the boil, and tonight I am using some sweet potato noodles. They're made with the starch from sweet potato roots, and they are absolutely delicious.
Okay, to not overwhelm the pot, I'm just putting half in to start with. Just put them in, let them soften up and sink down, and then I'll put the other half in. Okay, they're settled down. Just give them a quick stir with a pair of chopsticks, and then we're ready for the second half of the noodles to go in. Okay, and in we go with that second half. Again, just going to let them soften down. Now these are going to need about 10 or 15 minutes cook time. They do remain slightly chewy. That's part of the texture of the sweet potato noodles, but you just want to get the rawness and get any hardness out of them. So I will just cook these away until they're done. Okay, there they are, all done. You can see the purple colour the sweet potatoes given. Just going to take them away, drain them, and run some cold water through them. So there we are, noodles are cooled off. I don't want them cooking any further because I'm going to fry them. I don't need them too cooked. So we'll move them aside and we'll move the wok into place and put some heat back underneath that, ready for the actual stir fry. All right, away we go with our cook. We're going to start with about 2 tablespoons of garlic. I like the garlic in my cooks, so I'm certainly not shy about how much I put in. Next we're going to add in about a tablespoon of chili. You know, again, I like chili, I like it hot, so we'll spice it up. And about half a tablespoon of ginger. And to that we're going to sprinkle on some Chinese spice, and we're just going to swish that all around and just cook the rawness out of the herbs and spices. If you don't cook them down first, they end up too powerful, too strong within the actual food. You want them to become part of the food, which means you've got to cook them down first. And that's looking like it's a little bit dry, so we're just going to add a touch more oil to it. Okay, time to come in with our veggies. Now I end up getting some kale as well, so the kale stalks and the beans are going in at this stage. So just sort all that out, get that in there and start stir frying that. Doesn't need a lot of cooking. That's the whole idea of a stir fry, is you're trying to keep everything fairly fresh, fairly raw, so you're not putting a lot of cooking into it. Okay, next we're going to start building up our sauce component. Now, using some fish sauce, probably about 2 tablespoons of fish sauce. Squid brand fish sauce is an excellent one. Alright, next up we're adding in some rice wine vinegar or mirin, just something to give it a little bit of tang, and some sesame oil. You don't want to add too much, just a couple shakes of that. So generally with any sort of Asian dish, you want to balance up your sweet, your sour, your salty. It just all needs to be in balance. And here's the sweet component. I'm using some apricot jam. This is something I got last Christmas as a gift, and just goes lovely with the pork that I'm cooking for the meal. So the beans, the kale, the pork and the apricot jam just make a great combination together. So now we've got the sauce going, give it a stir around. I'm going to tip that kale in. Normally I'd use a bok choy. I didn't have a bok choy. So kale makes a great substitute for it. And then from there, once we've got the kale in, we're going to go in with our noodles. As you can see, they've come up as a nice translucent sort of noodle. They are a lot different from an egg noodle. They take the flavour of the sauce really well. And so now we're just going to cook it until those noodles warm up. In the time the noodles warm up, the kale's going to wilt down. And we're just doing it by lifting from the bottom of the pan, turning everything over. That incorporates the veggies, the sauce, everything through the noodles. They are a fairly sticky noodle, but by doing that, bringing the oils and the sauce up through the noodles, it helps to separate everything. And so, okay, so at this stage, the noodles that we cooled off after they'd finished their boiling, they're back up to heat and we're ready to serve. Okay, here's our pork cooked and fresh out of the, well, it's not fresh out of the oven, but it's had a bit of rest time out of the oven. I'm just going to slice that into thin slices. As you can see, it's nicely cooked, it's still nice and juicy, absolutely looking delicious. So we'll just slice up a few slices to go with our stir fry. Okay, time to plate up. So in we go with our stir fry mix, noodles, beans, kale, sauce. It's pretty yum. And lastly, we're just going to dress the top with our pork. So I'm going to go with the pork and we'll arrange that in a nice artistic sort of pattern. Just because it's simple doesn't mean it doesn't look good. Little piece on top. Mind the fingers, but hey, it's only me eating it. And of course we need to have a taste. Mind the grey hair, but it's hard to eat with noodles with chopsticks underneath the camera. And it is absolutely delicious. It's a nice simple dish. There's not a lot of fuss into it, but yeah, it's great. Alright, thank you very much everyone for watching. Please hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit that little bell notification so you can see any further videos that I put out, whether they be Shed Wars, cooking, or any of the other myriad things I do on the channel. Again, thank you very much for watching, and bye for now.